Namaste. Um, Today I wanted to talk about a very, very important issue. I don't know, for some reasons, for the past few days, I've been encountering women who have shared their lifetimes with me. And most of these women are women who are either undergoing a divorce or are thinking about it or have decided to take the divorce, or they have already taken the divorce. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about um, some wisdom I earned out of my lifetime that I wanted to share about. You must know these things before you get into divorcing your husband. Okay. And I'm talking for wives. Okay. I'm definitely talking not to men, but I'm talking to women right now. So, what are those things that you need to know before you actually involve this entire process called divorce? Even before I begin with it, I'll rather give a disclaimer that I'm not trying to stop you from divorce, okay? The entire idea of divorce, when it erupts in your mind, you must question whether it needs to be taken or not. Is the situation that bad? However, if you're living under high level of abuse, it may be abuse is not always physical, it may be emotional, it may be financial. You cannot make your own um, decisions by yourself. You're not able to live the way you wanted to live, or you are not being respected enough, or you are just being sidelined in the family. So there may be many reasons for divorce, and I'm not stopping the divorce. I'm not asking you to stop moving on this path and listen to me. What I'm telling you is, these are the things you must know before you actually make the decision of getting on with this process. So the very first thing that I really want to talk about is something that we have not thought. A lot of us, I think I was more practical in that sense, even though I'm not very practical in life. But a lot of women have not thought about this one very, very major thing, is that family members are humans. Family members are humans, they're not God. Okay. I've seen a lot of women tell me, and in fact, I've seen women go and live with their parents and consider that this is going to be my lifetime. So before you navigate this path of moving on with the divorce, please know that family members are humans. They are not going to be present with you all the time. Okay, if you are kind of rooting for if you are having a lot of expectations from your brother or your parents will get old. They will leave your side, and your brother also has his own life. So when you are making this choice, make this choice when you really, really feel independent, right? I made this choice, and this is something very, very personal I'm going to share. I made this choice long before, and I realized that this is not going to work in favor of my children. So I still had to stay in the marriage to be able to stand up, to make a very, very sound foundation. I had left my jobs, and I consequently had to keep quiet for a very, very long time before I could make a foundation to be able to help my children, to not be a person who has no job. Okay. And unfortunately, like the 1857 war, which started much before it was planned, the same thing happened with me. So I had not been able to save enough, but I still moved on because things became very, very impossible for me. Things became absolutely obnoxious for my kids. So I had to move out, but at least I had a job in my hand. So you got to see a few things, that you are independent. That is the first point. Before you think of divorce, you must understand that you are independent or not. Do you earn enough to go on for the next 3 months? Will you be able to rent another apartment? And you have to, think of a scenario where none of your family members are actually on your side. Will you be able to go on like that? That mental preparation is very, very important. I'm sure the family is always around. The families are, these days the families are changing, and I've been one of those fortunate people. But it's very important to know that the family will not always be by your side. They have their own lives, they have their own bodies which are fragile. That's the first thing you must get your mental preparation done in. The second thing that I really, wanted to talk about, because again, that's something that people do not understand beforehand, and unfortunately, there's not much guidance also beforehand, is about about turning up in all the sessions of the divorce, and second, about the terms and conditions of the divorce. Most of the people you will see, like there are two very, very different types of people you will find when the moment you mention this word divorce, you'll have a lot of people, the so-called good people, जो आपका बहुत भला चाहते हैं, हितैषी, well-wishers, who will tell you, don't take the divorce. Um, kids are your responsibility. You must suffer and do anything and everything to get the marriage happening. No, don't listen to them. Just take the suggestion. Don't say get lost, obviously, but understand that they do not know your scenario. They don't know that the kids are also suffering very, very badly. You've already taken the suffering. Most of the women, they take actions when it comes up to the kids. Most of the women, when they realize that they are not being good mothers, then they mention the word divorce. They have suffered already a lot. So just listen to these people and let them be. Second kind of people that you're going to get is those people who will say that ensure that you get enough out of this man. And then there are laws and this, that, and the other. And then you have the set of your own lawyers who are saying कि आपको ये करना चाहिए, वो करना चाहिए. The entire process of divorce is going to drain you out. On one of the sessions when I'd been to, the court in Dehradun, I remember there were 4 other women with me. And obviously, like many other sessions, I was alone on that day because my parents are like too old. So these 4 women, when I looked at them, and these 4 women were the one who were not living in Dehradun exactly. They were living far off, and somehow the court that took up the family court they had was Dehradun only. They would travel every month for one date, and every time the same lawyer would take 2,000 rupees, 2.5, something like that, 2.5, 2,500 rupees or something of that sort every month or every date. And apart from that, already 50,000-60,000 rupees was submitted, maybe 2 lakh rupees, someone said like that. One of these women, her husband was already married with a small child. Like the marriage got over 6 years ago. He asked her to get lost, and he remarried. So why am I talking about these things? Why am I talking about these gross things? The judiciary, the legal system of India is that bad. Okay? A lot of people think that I'm highly biased and all. And oh my God, I have a lot of problems with men, but that's the situation of patriarchy. Men can do anything they want. And I'm sure there are some women who are taking undue advantage as well. I have heard and I have observed and noticed it myself that there are some women who actually put up fake cases. Okay, when the man is kind of empathetic or he is good or something like that, then they understand it as weak and then they put up fake cases. But those cases are very, very less. Most of the cases are such that the husband can do anything, okay? So the husband has multiple affairs and he's still trying on to them. And then this lady, she knew that, her husband had a son by this other woman, okay? And then he legalized that connection. So one fine day, the husband comes and says, you know what, I have got a son from another woman and I'm going to marry her, so you just get lost. She had a daughter. So many such things are happening within India, okay? India, the legal system is absolutely in a mess, okay? So the entire process of divorce, of course, you must take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously to be able to lose your, own essence. Don't take it that seriously. That is what I was trying to say, that you don't need to turn up on every session, for heaven's sake. The lawyers will tell you that because the lawyers are going to get something out of it. Right? That is the work of the lawyers. And I'm not trying to say that all the lawyers are bad. My father is a criminal lawyer, by the way. I'm not trying to say that. And I have known lawyers such as my own father who, is not at all interested in the money and more interested in getting people to get justice. But most of the lawyers today are playing games. Okay, so they'll get you to turn up on different dates and get you to spend a lot of money and things like that. So you got to make a list of your priorities, and at the top should be your mental well-being. Second should be your kids, because if you're mentally unfit, you will not be a good mother. I've seen many women fighting the divorce case and at the same time abusing their own kids. I know of women who have lost their husbands to death, obviously, and they had been turned out of their in-laws family, and what they ultimately turned out to be the same abusive character that they hated. So about divorce, what I wanted to say was, don't take this process so seriously that you lose track of your own life and lose essence of your own self. Okay, and then some people will say that divorce terms, be very, very cautious while you get hold of the divorce terms, get a lot of money out of him. But you know what happens? I'll also tell you about multiple cases wherein the woman's lawyer, the wife's lawyer, has been taking money from the husband. Consequently, he's making the case very weak. What will you do in that scenario? So the entire world is out there. What I really wanted to talk about was some of the men, some of the, some of these connections are like leeches. Okay. Some of them are like leeches. You got to get rid of them anyhow. So you must be cautious about the divorce terms and conditions. You got to be very, very clear on, how is the case going, and you must take care of all these things, but you should not drain yourself in the process. And to get 1.5 crore rupees or something of that sort from the ex-husband, you should not get yourself leaving you far away. Okay, so you should be with yourself, you should be in love with yourself, you should not lose your essence and your power and your energy in the process. That's what I was trying to say. Be very, very clear. What people are saying, they're saying from the outside. And then there will be some of your family members who will say things like that. Tumne ye nahi kiya, wo nahi kiya, and they'll shout at you. Use both your ears at that point of time. Please find out more, read about more cases, and talk to other women who have divorced and who are divorced. Understand the entire process from your point of view and go on with the process. The third thing, which is very important, and I was just talking about it with a woman some time ago, which really, really guided me to make this video. Highly disastrous situation is so many of the husbands, especially in this situation, when we have something like social media and stuff, you have things where you can connect the phone, the telephone, the WhatsApp, the messenger, whatever it is. This scenario is something like the husband takes the divorce, he becomes the ex-husband, and after that he starts helping you, quote unquote. The same person who's trying to kill you starts helping you and becomes your friend and tells you, oh my God, I'll be your friend all your life, and you'll be so happy and proud. I'm sorry whatever happened. If he was that sorry, why would he go on with the divorce? And suddenly 1 month after the divorce, he's so sorry. Do not go for this, okay? Do not buy this at all. So the lady I was talking to, she was showing me the chats in which the ex-husband had written, he was sexting. You understand what is sexting, right? So he was writing very explicit things. This is bullshit. This is absolutely nonsense. Do not buy in for this. These are the types of men who will get what they want. So they are clear that now I'm done with her. I don't have any responsibility. She's going to take care of my children or whatever the situation may be. Now they're going to try you as a woman. These are hypocritical men. Okay. And that is why I tell young girls that if you really want to judge the guy you are with, or even men, try not giving them what they want. Try not giving them what they want, regardless of the fact what you want. Okay. Now, there was a girl I was mentoring, and she has spent so much money, and then she says something like, she wanted to find her love and her spiritual connection and stuff. So I was telling her that don't involve intimately with him, okay? And see what happens for the next 2-3 days. She said, I'm also interested. It doesn't matter you are interested. Just stop giving what he wants and see how he behaves. And she was not very happy to do that, but she did it. In 2 days, she found out that he already has another girlfriend. He himself mentioned that, I was just having a time pass with you. So it's very, very important to see if it's a transactional kind of a connection. And that is why when your ex-husband comes back and tries to be pally, friendly with you, or romantic with you, or a helper, okay, with you, understand that this is the same poisonous snake you've just gotten rid of. Okay. And I'm talking to the women who have actually been abused and women who have suffered in the marriage. I'm not talking about women who have got the husband to suffer. Okay. So you must know, as a past life regression therapist, I would definitely talk about it here. When a marriage goes on to divorce, it is definitely a karmic connection. What is karmic connection? Karmic connection is when you have done something in your past life which you need to repay or you need to balance. That's called a karmic connection. It's not the connection of soulmates, and it's not the connection of a twin flame either. Okay. So you got to be very, very clear about this fact that you are not going to continue this connection. Karmic connection is something like, so I will give you the example of one of the ladies. I regressed her 2 weeks ago, and she saw that in a past lifetime, she had killed her husband. She was the husband, and her present day husband was her wife in the past life. So what happened was she had, kind of pushed the wife when she was a husband in the past life, 103 years ago, from a valley. And the husband died, like the husband who was a wife died, and this lifetime he turns out to be the husband. And, she's suffering a lot because this time he's a man. Okay. So what should you be doing in this connection? You should ask for forgiveness. You should ask for forgiveness, but still you must cut the ties and get rid of this connection. Absolutely. Obviously, when women are sitting in front of me, and unless they ask for suggestion, I do not give my suggestion. I'm no one to tell any woman that, oh, your husband is not correct, your connection is not strong enough, just get divorced. Okay, because then people will say ki ghar todna chahti and things like that. But you don't understand that you're not only losing yourself, you are making your and your children's life hell by staying in this connection. So the fact that, because this is a karmic connection, it's not like, some people misunderstand it and they think that this lifetime I'm going to help her. Those kind of souls come through you as children. Okay. Like I've seen number of children, the souls of children coming back to their parents because the parents were not so responsible in the previous lifetime. One man I was, regressing into past life last week. What happened? He saw that he was a woman in a past life and he had a child who was the younger child in this lifetime. The younger child went out to play, and because of his, like the mother's irresponsibility, he died. The child died. And the same child turned out to be the younger child in this lifetime. So those are children who come back. The worst kind of karmic connections come back in marriage. Okay, and that's not even a joke. I've seen many memes, like funny memes on that. The worst karmic connections turn out to be your husband or wife, but that's absolutely true. Okay, so when it is a karmic connection, it was meant for a divorce. Be very clear. This man who's coming back, even if he says the best of thing from his heart, he's trying to be friendly. Be friendly. Keep him at a distance. Do not become intimate at any point of time. Do not let him even hold your hand. Okay, that's something, and that's something that I'm telling you by research. Like I know women suffering that way. She didn't have the rent to give, and then he gave the rent, and then he continued, shook the hands, came to home, and it goes on. Do not enter into this. If you really want to grow in life, you got to get rid of this karmic connection. Okay, and many people ask me, like there was this woman who's herself a healer. She was asking me, why don't I have out of body experiences like you, Aishwarya? Why don't I get into the depths of meditation like you? That's because I have tried my best to eliminate toxicity from my life. And I'm not suggesting everyone to do that. Perhaps it was my time to get rid of these kind of people. But that is a decision and a choice that I made. It was a very, very difficult choice. And no one can imagine the kind of life I've lived, even though I had family members, but the family members have their own lives as well. That kind of courage and that, dealing with loneliness, all those things, you got to face it all yourself alone. Apart from that, having the responsibility of children. So the fact that do not let your ex-husband become your friend. Okay, that only happens in movies. In real life, they're going to just suck back the energy from you. If you want to move ahead spiritually also and astrologically also, you got to cut the cords. So that was the third point. The next point is, very, very important. And that's something like every other woman. Okay, I am not being judgmental because I do not believe in all these things. But 90% of the women after divorce or in the process of divorce want to be with any man. And I'm not trying to judge this situation. Okay, not everyone is going to get spiritual like me. But this is something that everyone needs. Like, I think everyone needs company, right? And I'm not trying to stop you from getting company. What I'm trying to stop you from is you must take a break. You must take a break and replenish your own spiritual energy. What happens is, like, let's say you are heartbroken. You've just gotten out of the marriage. And if you want to get married immediately after this, or if you want to get into another connection immediately after that, only in movies do you find the right man. In reality, as a PLR therapist, past life regression therapist, or as a healer, or somewhat knowledge of astrology, you must take some time to heal yourself, to heal your energies, because there are many subconscious and unconscious belief patterns we have which say that I am not lovable, I'm not good enough. All those damages that have been done to your ego self, need to be rebuilt. Very, very important. Do not jump from one connection to another connection. That's not just about marriage, that's about a normal heartbreak also. um, you've been into a connection and you want to get into another connection, like immediately आज इसने मना किया, लग नहीं रहा है कि ये पटने वाली है, so let's get into another connection. That's something that's going to get you into a lot of pain. It's always better to be alone for some time. There was a colleague, and she had not told anyone in the school that she is getting divorced and she is remarrying someone. So I told her that that's a great idea, and I'm sure the choice you have must be great. This man must be very good, but take 6 months to yourself. And she didn't do that, and of course there were repercussions of that. Another lady told me that she stopped. The day she got a divorce, like the divorce was instant because this man was very, very ready to divorce her, and the very next month she's dating someone else. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not judging the character of the person. Everyone needs companionship. When you date someone, it's not about physical intimacy, and in fact, physical intimacy is also about not just validating your connection, it's about feeling like you have someone who cares for you. That's absolutely all right. I'm not trying to stop you from that. What I'm trying to stop you is, please take some time. It's like you have worked throughout the day. Let's say you got up in the morning and you worked throughout the day. Now don't go on with work again. Go to sleep. Okay? Let your body have that power again, and then start afresh. So that is very, very important. You must heal before you get into another connection. Otherwise, you will keep, attracting the same kind of people. There is a movie called Groundhog's Day. Okay, Groundhog's Day, I think it was released in 1993. I was in class 3rd at that point of time. And this movie tells us about a character who's kind of into media and stuff, and he's a news reporter. He goes to some place to shoot this Groundhog's Festival, and he is totally ungrateful. He thinks everything is bad with him, and and he's very, very insensitive, very rude to people, very judgmental, says things brutally in front of people. When he sleeps off, he wakes up again to the same day. That happens with him for months and months. He tries to kill him also. Okay, now he knows people, and he tries to take advantage of the situation, but the same day keeps repeating until he learns the lessons and he becomes a different person. When he becomes a different person and does things differently, he wakes up to the next day. And even though this seems like, what does it have to do with us? Time loop. But time loop is something that is very much present in our lives. We may be growing up in body, we may be moving to places, but the time loop is still on. Until you have learned the lesson, you will not get the next lesson at all. The same kinds of people, the same kind of mother-in-law, the same kind of boss, it will keep repeating all your life. So you got to understand that you should not enter another connection unless you've healed yourself. Unless you have been grateful to the past connection for teaching you a certain number of lessons, and unless you are like fresh and ready. Because one of the ladies, she was telling me that the first time this person held my hand, I was reminded of my ex-husband. So take time. It may be 6 months only, it may be 6 years also. You must take time so that the next person who approaches you again in your nascent stage. Nascent in the sense, you've gotten rid of all the impurities, or you've gotten rid of the previous emotions or the traumas, right? The last thing that I really wanted to talk about today was children. When you're considering divorce, consider your children first. What is going to be the impact? How are you going to deal with it? What will they feel? And the entire idea that, is it the right decision or not? Are you the right parent or not? Even though I feel proud of myself for having made such a decision, I think I saw my children laughing fully after I made this decision. But I have seen many women who are so much into trauma, into depths of, loneliness. I've seen many such women hand over a mobile phone or a laptop or, some device to the child and get rid of the situation. Chalo, theek hai, usme band rahega. At least he's happy there. He's not happy, or she is not happy. You got to give real company to your child. I remember, and this is a very, very emotional and personal account. I remember, um, I think it was 1 week or 2 weeks after I shifted to a different house when I walked out with my kids, and I was in a separate rented apartment. I had so many things. It was all cluttered over, and I had to go to school. I was also taking extra tuitions, and I was like, and I had to maintain my entire image. I had straightened hair. I would wear beautiful saris, lipsticks, jewelry, so that the school and the students in the school never found out what I was suffering. And everyone thought Arunima ma'am is so, you know, whatever, like, elegant and things like that. Only I knew what I was undergoing, because behind the mascara and kajal were those eyes that were not sleeping. At night, I used to unpack things, keep things in the proper place, plan up the finances and things like that. So 1 week down the line, my elder one, who was just 5 year old at that point of time, he woke up, and so I thought that he was sleeping. He woke up and he comes to me and he tells me, Mama, let me do all these things today. So he said that in Hindi, that let me do all these things today. Today you sleep. Okay, and now fortunately I don't cry over it, because I kept crying over it for the next 3 4 years. I could not believe that my sons were watching all this. I thought I'm giving them a good life. That was a very, very mechanical life. I realized you got to be very happy. What do children actually need? Children don't need your gadgets and the fanciest of schools and the clothes and toys. Children need a real parent. Children need a parent who is filled with happiness, and that is why the parent can give happiness. And I left everything as it was. I started crying, and then I, got my son to sleep, and I also slept. I said no. 6 7 hours of sleep I'm going to take every day. From that day till date, I have maintained my sleep pattern. You got to understand, what do your children actually need. It's not a good life that the children need. Then that, in that way, the husband is earning much more. You can definitely go and leave your children there. Before you think of the word divorce, also consider, how are you going to deal with your children? What are you going to tell them? And however small they may be, please tell them the truth. I was told about by someone, a lady who had lost her husband, and that was years ago, like she's much older. And she was teaching in a residential school in Bihar. She told me that she didn't have the courage to tell her husband that they didn't have a father. You know what the kids used to do? On Sundays, the kids used to go to the main gate. They would run and go to the main gate, and every Sunday they would get thrashed by the mother. The mother would thrash them like anything. So after 1 or 2 months, one of the other colleagues asked the kids, why do you come here every Sunday? Why do you get thrashed by your mother? They said that, and the kids were very, very small, 4 and 6. They said that we come here because everyone's father comes, and we believe that our father will also come. And that was something that, like, obviously I'm sure everyone understands. Thank you, Orkajit. So, that how painful must have that situation must have been. When the mother got to know, she obviously cried and everything. But the fact is that we always tend to think that, oh, my heart is filled with sadness. And I've seen some mothers think that, oh, my children's heart is filled with sadness. You got to consider all the 2 3 hearts together and understand that before you mention the word divorce, you got to be that strong financially, but more than financially, mentally and emotionally. You got to understand that very well, that, your children are going to suffer worse than you. I've seen women literally say that, bachcho ka kya hai? The kids will grow up, they'll find love. How will they find love? If you're not going to give them love, they will keep believing that marriage is bad. Men and women come together only to fight. There's only lust between men and women. Do not be that kind of parent. Sow the right seeds before you mention the word divorce in your life. Have the right temperament. Mentally, you need to be very, very fit. Emotionally, you need to be very, very fit. And definitely, to move on with this, you must start with meditation. You must start with doing things that really make you happy. Because only a happy mother can raise a happy child. That's it for today. Signing off, Aishwarya Sinha. Namaste. Thank you so much.